There are poor people here. I can't stand to eat in the same place as these people. Let's complain to the waiter and ask him to kick them out. I agree. If we're around these people, we'll look low class. My sister and her husband, whom we ran into on our New Year's trip to Hawaii, decided that we were poor, and they bullied us. They would say, "Don't ignore us, you ugly bitch. This is no place for someone like you. You need to get the hell out of here." You're not my sister. What? You forgot about me, your cute little sister? I know you're still upset that I took your fiance. You're so jealous of me. I heard you're still working. Working even after you're married? Poor you. The two of them started making fun of not only me, but also my husband. I could put up with it if it was just about me, but I couldn't stand listening to them make fun of my husband. I had had enough, and I sprang out of my chair, but my husband stood in front of me to stop me. My name is Katie. I work as a medical receptionist at a general hospital. I didn't have any special skills, but when I thought about my future, I knew I wanted to help people. That's when I decided to work in the medical field. After 2 years of studying at a vocational school, I found a job at a general hospital. My parents recognized my hard work and were proud of me for choosing a career in medical administration. But my sister's reaction was the exact opposite. She said, "This is a job that anyone could do, and it's perfect for you." She laughed. My sister Miley has always been like that. She looks down on me and makes fun of me on a regular basis. Miley is pretty. When we were in junior high, people called her the prettiest girl in her grade. She gets a lot of compliments, and she's always boasting about her looks. She calls me ugly and acts like I'm pitiful. If it seems like anyone can do it, I thought maybe I should do things only I can bring to the table. I try to smile all the time and be really polite and more cheerful than others. It sounds easy, but it's very difficult. But I was determined to do my job well, and I told myself that I will not fail. I was very happy to know that there were people out there who watched me and recognized it. You're always energetic. Dr. Ken Smith, a doctor at the hospital, spoke to me. I rarely interact with doctors, but Dr. Smith knew my name. Your smile always heals me, Katie. I thought it sounded a tiny bit inappropriate, but it was nice to be recognized. After that, we talked whenever we saw each other at the hospital, and a little while after that, Dr. Smith asked me out. After a few dates, he confessed his feelings for me and asked me to be his girlfriend. Shortly before my 22nd birthday, he asked me to marry him. Will you marry me? Ken proposed to me. I said yes, and we made plans to meet each other's parents. I'm glad I chose a job that helps people. I was happy to work at the hospital, but my happiness was shattered in a split second out of nowhere. Don't worry about coming to my parents to meet them. 2 days before the day I was supposed to meet them, he sends me this out of the blue. I was confused, so I wrote back immediately. Does it not work for their schedule or something? We can reschedule for another day. But Ken responded and said things that I never would have expected. I said don't worry about coming. I'm breaking up with you, Katie. For a second, it felt like time stopped. I didn't know what he was saying. I immediately called him. What do you mean? You met my parents. Just act like it never happened. What's wrong? You said you'd keep working after we got married, and you didn't listen to me. Well, I realized that I'd rather have an obedient woman than someone like you. It's like he was a different person. I was, of course, shocked that he broke up with me, but I couldn't believe how he changed all of a sudden. What? You said my smile heals you. I can't believe you're breaking up with me after we got engaged. Huh? That was just something I said to make you feel good. I chose you because you were the youngest, decent-looking woman at the time. You're horrible. I'm a doctor. There are better women out there more suitable for a doctor like me. Who? I had a bad feeling, and it was way worse than I thought it could be. I'm going to marry Miley. I don't need you anymore. Miley? I should have gone to your parents' house earlier. I could have met her a while ago instead of wasting a year of my life. I started thinking, when Ken came to my house to meet my parents, Miley was there too. She wasn't supposed to be there, but she stayed on purpose to meet my fiance. At first, she seemed ready to make fun of him, but as soon as she realized that Ken is a doctor, her attitude changed. She spoke like she was flirting, but I had no idea that she was trying to steal my fiance. I couldn't believe it. I was so mad at Ken and Miley, and I was also mad at myself for letting them push me around. I was speechless. Then Ken said mockingly, "You're so shocked you can't even say anything. You know, a woman like you won't find someone else to marry. But I'm sorry. I've already made up my mind that I'm going to marry young, pretty Miley. I won't change my mind even if you beg." Who would beg you? Don't pretend like you're okay. It's obviously not true, and it's not a good look. What? Unlike you, Miley is very obedient and cute, and she said she will be a housewife after we get married, just like I asked her. I was irritated by his cheerful voice. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Listen, I'm just going to be honest. Who would beg to be with a man like you? I've had it. I'm glad we're breaking up. I'm even more glad that I didn't marry a man like you. Well, you're just not cute. I was going to end it even if you cried and screamed. Well, good luck being a single woman. Ken hung up the phone after saying those hateful words. When I ended the call, I received a notification. It was from my sister and it said, "I'm sorry I took your fiance." When my parents found out, they disowned Miley and told her to never come back home. But Miley was still proud. My husband is a doctor. I won. I don't care that I'm cut off from the family. See you later, sis. Thanks for introducing me to Ken. Keep being ugly and poor and alone. I realized that they are perfect for each other. And again, I'm so glad I didn't marry Ken. Even after we broke up, I had no intention of quitting my job. But I couldn't stand to work at the same place as him, so I transferred to an affiliated hospital. I put even more effort into my work, trying to be polite and energetic and always smiling. Even receptionists can help patients in different ways than doctors. It's not a job that just anyone could do. I worked hard, almost in spite of Miley and Ken. 2 years after Ken and I split up, someone talked to me like he did. "You're always so energetic." Thank you. Although I said thank you, I was creeped out. He doesn't seem like he works at the hospital. He could be a patient or a family member. I didn't want to be a jerk, so I put a smile on my face, waiting for him to leave. But he didn't move. I said, how can I help you?" He smiled big. "I've always thought you have such a wonderful attitude toward your work. I'd like to talk to you more. Would you like to go to dinner with me?" "No, thanks." I turned to smile at him. He backed off that day, but this man was very stubborn. Tyler Morris showed up almost every week after that, inviting me out for dinner. Eventually, I gave in and went out with him. At that point, my bad impression of him had already faded. More importantly, he understood how important my work is to me. After a few dates, he asked me to be in a relationship with him. I told him what had happened in the past. I told him, "I'm not holding back, but I'm still scared. I don't want to go through that again." I guess I said the wrong thing. He let out a bitter laugh and looked at me. "I'm so attracted to you. I wouldn't make you sad or make you uneasy. Can you think about a future with me? I would make you happy." Tyler's gaze was enough to calm my worries. I made up my mind and decided to get in a relationship with him. He really cared about me. Even when we decided to get married after a year of dating, he respected my wish to continue working. My parents were overjoyed that I was so happy. They also liked Tyler, and we were able to build a good relationship with each other's families. I was living a happy, fulfilling life at work and at home, but then something happened. My husband and I went on a trip to Hawaii at the end of the year, the only time we could go on vacation and relax together. While having dinner at the resort restaurant, we ran into my sister and Ken. I couldn't believe my eyes for a minute. It had been about 3 years since I'd seen them. Even though it had been so long, Miley and Ken's condescending eyes had not changed. They caught me in their line of sight and came up to me, grinning. Ugh, there are poor people here. Hey, Ken, let's complain to the waiter and ask him to kick them out. Okay, yeah. If we're around these people, we'll look low class. They were talking loudly on purpose so that we could hear them. They were glancing at us and seemed to be enjoying our reactions. There were so many things I wanted to say, but this is a restaurant. There were people eating around us. I kept my feelings in check and continued eating in silence. Tyler, like me, completely ignored them, as if he had not noticed their presence, and smiled at me, saying, "This appetizer is delicious." Don't ignore me, you ugly bitch. This is not a place for someone like you. Get the hell out of here. You're not my sister. What? You forgot about me, your cute little sister? I know you're still upset that I took your fiance. You're so jealous of me. I heard you're still working. Working even after you're married? Poor you. The two of them started making fun of not only me, but also my husband. I could put up with it if it was just about me, but I couldn't stand listening to them making fun of my husband. I had had enough, and I sprang out of my chair. All right, I was keeping my mouth shut, but just as I was about to snap, Tyler quickly stepped forward as if to protect me. Then he looked at me and said in a calm voice, "Katie, don't let these people make you angry." But they even made fun of Tyler, and I couldn't stand listening to them any longer. He could tell how I was feeling, and he looked at me and nodded. Ken and Miley, who were watching us, gave Tyler a condescending look and snickered. They looked at us and scoffed. You poor people are all dressed up. You may think you're dressed up, but you're not dressed nicely at all. You guys are matching. Miley pointed her finger at Tyler and laughed at him. I can't help but feel bad that I put my husband through this. But Tyler, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind at all, and he turned to the two of them in a matter-of-fact manner. You two are matching too. Your characters match. You both have nothing better to do than to look down on others. Hearing my husband's words, they looked like they had lost it. What? Are you making fun of us? Don't talk to us, you poor bastard. Don't you know who I am? I'm a doctor. I help ordinary people like you. You have no right to make fun of me. Unlike you, a poor man with a plain wife, I can choose as many women as I want. Saying this, Ken hugged Miley with an arrogant and boastful look on his face. Miley and Ken did look good next to each other, but just as before, my husband replied to both of them in the same matter-of-fact manner. I know what you're talking about, he said. Ken, you interned at the medical school of the University of A and have been working at your current hospital ever since, right? That's right. Ken is a doctor at a big hospital. If you know his background, even an idiot knows the difference between him and a poor person like you. Ken seemed somewhat surprised to learn that Tyler knew about his background, but Miley became very proud and began to talk. But she suddenly stopped talking when she heard Tyler's next words. Yes, I know very well. We manage the hospital, you know. We have to know who works there. What? Management? Miley had nothing to say. Ken also seemed to be in a daze, but not fully grasping the situation. Tyler took out his business card and began to introduce himself. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Tyler Morris, and I'm the president of the group company that manages the general hospital where you work. What? Ken finally opened his mouth. Miley was just staring at his business card. Yes, Tyler is the president of a group company that manages a number of hospitals. He told me that he first saw me when he came to the hospital for an inspection. During the inspection, he happened to hear that I had broken off my engagement with Ken and had been transferred to a different hospital. Tyler was surprised to see me working with a smile on my face. When he asked me to go out with him, he said he was attracted to me because of my dedication to my work, no matter what my personal life was like. Because he liked that about me, he respected my opinion that I didn't want to quit my job even after marriage. The job of a president is, in a word, hard work, but Tyler took care of himself. So what Ken said earlier, that he feels sorry for me that I have to work, is just ridiculous. People who only see things their way wouldn't understand. But I'm very grateful to Tyler for supporting me in doing what I want to do. And I can proudly say that I am happy to be married to Tyler. Ken said, "I can't believe he's the president." He looked anxious. Miley looked up from her phone and shouted loudly, "Hey, wait a minute! It is Tyler Morris! He started his own business early on, and at only 30 years old is the president of a major group company. He's been featured in all kinds of magazines. You're screwed." Ken looked at Miley's phone screen and his face turned pale. Miley looked down and Ken got on his knees and began to apologize. "I'm so sorry. I didn't expect Katie to marry someone like you, and I was rude." Don't you see that what you just said alone is very disrespectful? It seems like disrespect for others runs deep in your bones. I find it hard to believe that someone who acts like you is a good doctor. Ken became even more flustered and continued to apologize. But Tyler wasn't having it. He said, "If we keep causing a scene, it will disturb the people around us. Katie, we can order room service." He called out to a nearby waitress and gave her the room number. Then Miley screeched, "That room is one of the nicest ones here! You're kidding, right? Let me go with you!" How could she say that? Like there was any way I was going to allow that to happen. I said, "If we're around people like you, we'll look low class." My husband and I walked away. After getting back to Japan, Ken was given a pay cut when Tyler reported the incident. He said, "Doctors are in high demand. I don't care. I'll quit." Ken was unable to find a job because of bad rumors spreading in the industry. The hospital that finally hired him had a bad reputation. The working environment was terrible, and the wages were low. Ken and Miley constantly fought because they could no longer afford the luxuries they used to. Maybe this is why Ken had an affair with a nurse at the hospital. "I'll make sure I get what's mine." However, there was no way my sister, who didn't want to lose her husband's status as a doctor, would easily agree to the divorce. They ended up going through a divorce settlement and both spent tons of money. After a year of mediation, the divorce was finalized, but my sister never dropped her extravagant habits and blew all the money from the property division and alimony. She now lives in poverty in a shabby apartment. Ken married the nurse he had an affair with, but a medical error happened at his hospital and it closed. Both Ken and his new wife lost their jobs. Meanwhile, I just recently gave birth to my first child and went on maternity leave. Through the birth of my child, I realized how wonderful medical work is, and once again, I felt proud of my job. I intend to continue working with Tyler to balance work, housework, and childcare.